Now we're turning our spotlight to health. We're going to be talking about hepatitis B awareness creation. Now we know that this is an infection that remains a global health concern, and creating awareness is very, very critical when it comes to how to prevent new infection, early diagnosis, and everything that concerns hepatitis B treatment and prevention. And joining me in the studio this morning to discuss on that is Jennifer Ukwuoma. She's the Project Manager, Standing Committee on Public Health and Social Services, Nursing Students Association of Nigeria. Good morning and thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Thank you for coming. All right, so now let's talk about hepatitis B. We all have heard hepatitis B, but what exactly is it and what effects does it have on the body?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me on this very day. Thank you, Scopus National and Signature TV for the opportunity to speak on hepatitis in commemoration of the World Health Hepatitis Day, which is coming in a few days' time. That's July 28th. So I thank you for the opportunity to speak about this very hepatitis in this remarkable period. So this hepatitis, when we hear of hepatitis, people think that hepatitis is one of these complicated medical terms. But let's break it down. Just like the theme of this year's World Hepatitis Day is, let's break it down. So hepatitis simply means inflammation of the liver. And by inflammation, and I'm not speaking to only health people, I'm speaking to the public. You might get business people out there watching me, so I'll try my best to use terms that everybody will understand. So by inflammation, I mean when your liver gets swollen and gets damaged. The liver is a very important organ in the body. It does a lot. It helps in removing toxins. By toxins, I mean poisons and harmful substances. It stores energy. It helps in processing our food. So when it gets swollen, it gets inflamed, gets damaged, all these functions, it won't be able to do it properly. And then you'll now be at risk of having a lot of problems like liver failure, liver cirrhosis, even liver cancer. Yeah. Okay,
so now a number of people have this hepatitis B and don't even know that they are infected with this virus. So what are the symptoms to look out for, and is it possible to be asymptomatic for a long time?
Exactly, very simple. I like that question because it brings us to the reason for this awareness. That's the major reason we need to talk about this often than we do, because this hepatitis, a lot of persons that have it, most persons that have it don't know that they do have it because they might not have the symptoms, but then few persons might have symptoms. So the symptoms, and before you have the symptoms, most of the times it's when the stage of the hepatitis has gone so bad, when your liver has been damaged, that's when you start to see the symptoms. And that's why we need to prevent. We advocate for prevention than the cure, because before you know that you have this and go for the treatment and everything, then the level at which you can get back your liver at a stable state would not be so encouraging. So the symptoms you can have include things like yellowing of the skin, dark urine, pale stool, because the stuff that gives our feces and our stool, that golden brownish color, it's the bile, and liver helps in emulsification of fat. So if there is a problem with your liver, that particular emulsification of fat and the bowel function is going to be altered, then you're going to see it in your urine. When you have dark urine, very dark urine and pale stool, your stool is not having the same normal color window, and then there could be excessive fatigue. By fatigue, I mean tiredness. So when you have that tiredness, then loss of appetite. Then a very important symptom too is abdominal pain, specifically at the right side of the abdomen, because that is where the liver is located. Yeah. So these are the symptoms we can see, and then we suspect hepatitis. We advise people to test their liver, to go for tests immediately. And then, but most of the times we advise that you check for hepatitis, you test your liver even before having the symptoms, because like I said earlier, before you get the symptoms, the disease, the particular stage of this hepatitis must have gone so bad. So that is why we want to create awareness that you test your liver, you test yourself. Look, a simple blood test can tell you the situation of your liver. Okay. Can tell you, a simple blood test can do that. So we can just at intervals make it a point of duty to go to health facilities, get ourselves tested, get ourselves stable and not waiting for when we'll have the symptoms. Because it's not just like malaria that once you have the symptoms, okay, you can just get something and then...
Yeah, so does that mean that once you have the symptoms, at that point, it has already deteriorated?
Most of the times.
Okay.
Just very few persons that might have symptoms when it has not yet deteriorated, but then it is already there. Before you have the symptoms, it is already there. The symptom does not show you that it's about to come. It shows that it's there already.
Yeah.
Then some persons will not even develop the symptoms till it has gotten to a very bad stage.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, okay, now let's talk about transmission. What are the main modes of transmission for hepatitis B?
Okay, talking of the transmission, that will bring us to the types of hepatitis, because the transmission depends on the type.
Okay.
So yeah, we have viral hepatitis, those ones caused by the virus. We have hepatitis A, B, C, D, and E. These ones are caused by virus. Then we have non-viral hepatitis too, the alcoholic hepatitis, caused by excessive intake of alcohol. And that brings us to everybody here and watching this now. If you're an addict, please cut down on your alcohol intake. It does a lot. None of them is even positive. There is no, every good thing you think alcohol does to you is just psychological. You believe it makes you forget your things. You just believe, but it's just for a while, and it's not like that. It's just cycle something. So please stop it, because there's a part of hepatitis that has to do with alcohol, and then we have drug-induced hepatitis too. But our focus is hepatitis B, which is a viral hepatitis. So once we're talking about hepatitis and we don't specify the hepatitis we're talking about, is basically the viral hepatitis. So coming to your question, the mode of transmission, hepatitis A and E are mostly spread through contaminated food and dirty water. Yeah, that's how it is being spread. And then hepatitis B and C that basically spread through blood and body fluid. That is contaminated during blood transfusion.
Okay.
When it's not properly screened, you can contact it. Then sharing of needles, razors, clippers, any sharp objects. Then unprotected sex too gives hepatitis B and C. And then mother to child during delivery or during pregnancy can also be contacted through hepatitis B and C. Then the D is basically like a complication of hepatitis B. You can just develop D. You have to have B. Then when it progresses, you have the both of them. So that's why D is not so stressed on, because if you prevent B, you cannot develop D.
Okay.
So this is basically the mode of transmission of the hepatitis we all hear about.
So all these hepatitis A, B, C, D, all of them affect the liver, right?
Yes, they do.
What differentiates B from other hepatitis?
Okay, very interesting question. You got there. So B and C are very similar in the sense that they are the most talked about because they are more deadly and more common in Nigeria. But then, see what differentiates them. One is that it's so sad that till now we don't have a vaccine for hepatitis C. We don't have, but it's still a good news that we have effective viral therapy for it. We have drugs that work effectively for hepatitis C, but we don't have vaccine for it yet. Whereas the B variant, we have a vaccine for it that can prevent you from having this hepatitis B. So this one is also a very a significant difference between the two, but they can still tell you that they are very similar in the sense that their mode of transmission is the same. Mm-hmm. If you heard me earlier, yeah. So it's just a mode of preventing them, and it's now where the difference comes in. Okay. Yeah, so that's where the difference comes in.
Okay, so let's talk about now the prevention. What are the prevention? Because you've mentioned, you said A and E is from water and food, right?
Yeah, contaminated
water and food. And then you said B and C come from body fluids, unprotected sex. And so now, what are the prevention methods that people can use to avoid getting this?
There is this stuff that even if I don't know anything in example, if I get to know the cause of something, I would know how to prevent it or treat it, following the cause. Yeah, so having heard the causes of this hepatitis, so how we can prevent it comes from the causes now. We said that contaminated food and water can lead to hepatitis, so you should know that maintaining a good hygiene will go a long way in preventing hepatitis. Watch the food you eat. You don't buy food anywhere you go because you want to eat outside. You just buy food. That's a very harmful thing to our body. Try to make your food by yourself, or just make sure that wherever you're buying food that you at least can vouch for their hygiene there. And then do more of safe water. Don't just drink any water. But that's the one that Nigeria is still battling with. We don't really have.
We're battling with food and water, because I was about to ask you now. How can you know that the place you're buying food from is not contaminated? You know, so you can't vouch. You can't vouch.
That's why I preach cook at home, because you know what you do. You know that you wash your hand before you do this. You know that you do this. You know that. But then you are not even there to see them cook it. Especially when you don't know the person. Some people even eat where they don't see the environment the food is being made from.
Yeah.
So, and then, well, that's where your HCl comes in. There is something we call hydrochloric acid in the stomach. We can't do everything by ourselves. Even the one you cook at home is not 100% safe.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's where our HCl comes in. It has the work to like help us reduce those toxins that we push in. And that's where your liver still comes in. If your liver is active, the little toxins that manage to enter your body will still be detoxified. They will still be removed by the liver. That's how the body is just programmed to work. But when your immune is very low, that things that help to remove toxins from your body are just very weak too. That's where everything you eat becomes a problem, whether you cook at home or not. And then safe water. Water is good. Even sachet water, the last time I opened sachet water, it was kind of slippery, but then bottled water too, it's not bad. Tap water, we cannot keep boiling and boiling.
Yeah.
But just know that safe water helps a whole lot in preventing hepatitis. And then, like I said, we have alcoholic hepatitis. So preventing that, should know that you have to avoid alcohol. If you must take a reasonable quantity. Take a quantity. You understand what I mean by reasonable quantity? If you must take it. And when your immune is high and you're just taking a reasonable amount of alcohol, it won't really pose any risk to your health, because you have other balanced diets that you eat that suppress whatever that might be deposited in the little amounts, and you don't do it steady. But it becomes a problem when you become an addict, and that's what our youths are passing through. Go to psychiatric hospital, neuropsychiatric hospital here in Enugu, and a lot of them down with substance abuse. The last patient I managed in UNCH, I'm still currently on the patient's case right now. The patient has a very protruded stomach. I was thinking it's ascites. There is something we call ascites. That's inflammation of the stomach cavity. But then, going through the patient's folder, I was shocked that it was a liver issue caused by substance intake, particularly alcohol. 36-year-old man, I won't mention his name, but looking very old. I was shocked to see the age there, 36-year-old. I was, wow, you need to see how this fine guy rubbished himself because of alcohol. So we cut down on all those things, prevent hepatitis and every other thing. You know, that's how to prevent it. Then the vaccination comes in too. Vaccination can also help you, especially when you can't help it, because we have a variant of the hepatitis that can be passed down through the mother and the child. Yes. You can't help it. So vaccination comes in too. So
what about the vaccines? How available are these vaccines for people to actually, take them or go to the hospital for it to be administered to them?
The vaccines are very much available, I'll tell you. It is. But the thing is, we don't have vaccine for C, D, E. We have vaccine for only hepatitis A and B. And it's still not a bad thing, because I said earlier that we have effective antiviral therapy for C, even though we don't have the vaccine to prevent it. But when you try to use other methods like practice protected sex, be cautious with your needles, these major ways of preventing the B and C, you won't even have the B and C. But if at all you get the C, you now use the antiviral therapy, you take the drugs for it. But then the B has a vaccine. The B has a vaccine. It's very available in all the health facilities, even down to health centers. Owani Health Center, the last time we visited there for a community health thing, they had enough vaccines for it. Polyclinic, hey, I'm making use of the ones around our Enugu to tell you that it is very much available, so that people don't want to take it, or they don't know about it, or they want to start having the symptoms before you start going. And once you have symptoms, the vaccines will not even be given to you. Vaccines are basically used to prevent and not to treat. So once you have gotten it, if you come to our facility to screen, after screening you and you test positive, nobody is giving you vaccine immediately. You have to treat first, because what are you preventing? Is it something that you already have in your system? So vaccine is to prevent it, while also maintaining a good lifestyle model in whatever you do. So that is basically how to go about this. Hepatitis A too has a vaccine too. So the A and B is still very much available, but you can take it from vaccines. And then the D, I thought that D cannot be, you can't have B, you don't have B
first.
So since we have that is B, is definitely working for D, because if you can prevent B, you can't develop D.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's...
Is there any stigma attached to having hepatitis? Any of the hepatitis?
Yeah.
Tell us about it. What are those stigma that's attached to it?
The stigma attached to hepatitis, to the best of my knowledge, is not so that overwhelming for now, to compare to things like HIV and some other stuff like when you start having, people will start running away from you, or people believe that you have turned a bad child. Like the last post I saw on Facebook when I was doing some of my research, a young girl posted about going for a HIV test. Innocent post. People carried her in her comment section. You have turned a bad girl. You used to be a church girl. So you're no longer a virgin. Stuff like that. Just because she went for HIV test. And who said that you cannot go for HIV test even as a virgin? Because just sex that gives you HIV. So the stigma with that is a whole lot. But then hepatitis too. Remember I said that one of the causes is still unprotected sex.
Yes.
So some persons might not want to be open to say it because they feel like people that are informed, we think that maybe maybe having partners that are hepatitis positive, stuff like that. And then another thing is that knowing fully well that the two variants of the viral hepatitis is caused by unhygienic stuff. So people might feel like, okay, you are dirty, you don't take care of yourself, that's it. So this is basically the one I know about it being the stigma. But then once you have hepatitis, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. It's not a death sentence. People should know that it's not a death sentence. Seek treatment. First of all, I talk about preventive health more. I'm a preventive health advocate. The last NONSA week we did in the University of Nigeria Enugu campus, the theme was preventive healthcare. I pioneered this thing because I was the chairman of the week when I was the vice president of my department in my school then. We talked more on preventive health measures. I love preventive health measures because it helps a lot. It saves you money. It saves you time. It helps in healing. Everything just works out for you. So you prevent it instead of waiting for when you have it. So that's why our awareness here from the nurses' perspective, we are trying to tell you that we've seen patients that are down in the hospital with hepatitis, and we can tell you that it's not a nice thing at all. You wouldn't love it because once you have hepatitis, one funny thing about it is that it starts to progress.
Yes. But does hepatitis go away completely? Does it have a cure, or is it just a treatment to just manage it? Just like how HIV doesn't have a cure, you have to just keep taking. Is it the same thing for hepatitis as well?
Okay, talking about cure now, it's not going to be like a straight answer yes or no, because some have and some don't have. We have different types of hepatitis. So hepatitis B, that's another difference between B and C now. Hepatitis B, once you get it, it cannot go entirely. It does not have it can't go entirely. But what you can do is that once you start the treatment, it would prevent it from entering the chronic stage. That's basically what it can do for you. And once you can prevent it from entering the chronic stage, you can live your life normal. You can keep being on your drug. Some of the drugs can be taken for a very long time. Some can be taken for life. But the thing is that you can still maintain your life if you are faithful with if you adhere to your drug, to your medication stuff, or the hepatitis B. But the C, the therapy I'm talking about, the drug for C, the C variant,
goes away completely.
The C can actually go. Yeah, it can go.
What about
even the A and E too? Okay. The A and E can go. It's just the B. The B is, that's why we hammer on the B. In as much as it has vaccine, it has vaccine. But then if you mistakenly don't utilize the vaccine in any way, or maybe ignorance or whatever may be your reason, and you contact it becomes a problem. You have to resort to using therapy, but then you still have it at the back of your mind that this won't go, but you can manage it. You can keep managing it, and then it will not disturb your life.
But can the person transfer it to their partners? Or
on treatment, when they're on treatment, the viral load will be reduced. And once the viral load of any disease is reduced, the transmission rate is also drastically reduced. So there are very little chances of you transferring it. If your partner should maintain good immune system, know that, okay, my partner has this particular ailment, then just be at your best in maintaining good immune. Your high immune and then the suppressed viral load of that would help the transmission not to even occur. But when you leave yourself, you don't eat balanced diet, you don't eat foods, you don't take proper care of yourself, when you put yourself at the risk of having it, then there could be the transmission can now occur. But once you're on treatment, the viral load is drastically reduced very well. And that is why a pregnant woman can actually, it's not a must that everybody that is pregnant with hepatitis can transfer it to the baby. If you do the right things, it mustn't get to your baby. It's just when you don't do the right things, your baby will get it. Your innocent baby will get it.
So it's just similar to HIV, basically, when it comes to the treatment, the viral loads, and transference from parents to child or partners.
Yes, it is similar to
similar.
Yes,
not
similar,
the same.
not the same. Actually, there are not two things that are exactly the same in this world. They can only be similar, even English words.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
They're just similar.
But when the patient is on treatment for hepatitis, is the person being placed on some form of strict diet to help the liver, since the liver already has some issues, or can is the person still free to take alcohol and do all, not in excess, but like once maybe go out, that sort of thing? Is it still applicable for the patient, or is there a strict diet? You can't take this, you can't take this?
Of course, there are things you can't take, just like a diabetic patient. They have a diabetic chart which you're supposed to follow so that you help your blood glucose. The same thing, once you're already down with hepatitis, there are things you have to do to manage it properly. Diet comes in too. You don't even need to take alcohol, even in little quantity again, because it's already there in your system. Because even if it's not hepatitis, whenever you're on medication for any drug, they advise you to take alcohol that period. You know why? Because alcohol does what? It reduces the potency of drugs. So you cannot be on treatment for hepatitis and you still want to be taking alcohol. You don't want to help yourself. That's what I'm just telling you.
No, because the treatment for hepatitis is actually long term, and it's something that you don't stop.
That's why you have to prevent it. If you refuse to prevent it, you have to refuse to take alcohol once you start taking treatment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, just finally, before we wrap up this conversation, now looking at creating awareness for hepatitis B, we know that a lot of people, just like you mentioned earlier, have this this feeling of, people will know that I have this illness, or some people are shy to even go to test, even when they don't have it, or you just want to test. But that idea of people looking at me like I came to do hepatitis B or any form of hepatitis test, things like that. So how can we, create a more conducive environment for people to actually want to come out to talk about it, and also feel free to seek help when necessary?
Okay, one is like this kind of thing I came here to say, that hepatitis is not only sexually transmitted, because that's one of the things that youths hear. Then once they hear that you go for hepatitis test, they feel like you've already started doing things. But then, just like what I said here, from what I said now, you're able to understand that hepatitis has a whole lot apart from the sex. I didn't even stress the sex part, because that's a very big stigma that makes people not to go for it. They feel like, no. And the truth is that you cannot contact hepatitis B and see quite alright if you've not started having sex. That's just it. You can't contact it, but you can still contact it when you don't properly screen bloods, when you go for transfusion or anything. That's what people don't really get. So they just center their mind on that. On that particular one, that it has to be through sex, but it's not true. So when we put up the awareness that this particular disease is not all about sexual intercourse, it's not all about maybe sexual intercourse particular, because that's the worst stigma that can come, people knowing that this, that. So once we put it out there that they have other kinds of it, they even have drug-induced hepatitis, they even have autoimmune hepatitis. How can I forget that? Autoimmune is, you're innocent. Anything autoimmune is from your body system. When your body system starts to attack its own cells, there are periods that your cells, the liver cells, can start to attack itself, causing inflammation. So that one is termed autoimmune hepatitis. So hepatitis can come in different forms. So going for the screening, when people understand that there are many ways, just like malaria now, there is no stigma attached to it, you can go for your test. When people get it at the back of their head, that there are other ways this disease can be gotten and stuff like that, trust me, people will feel free to go for it, because you can't just tell somebody, okay, you're going for it because of this, when you know that another thing can cause it. So I think that's where some people have a mix-up, and then it prevents them from getting their liver tested, which is very wrong. I always advise, go for tests. And whenever you go for tests, it also helps you to know some underlying conditions in your body system, and you treat it. Water therapy, stuff like that.
All right. Thank you so much, Jennifer Ukwuoma, for this lovely conversation. I hope our viewers have learned I have learned a couple of things just by listening to you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Signature TV.